Hello, everybody. This is the Astral Tourist. It's November 9th, 2022. I'm here to speak about reality checks and a few astral projections I had. Just miscellaneous stuff. So, to begin with, why reality checks work. Well, this is one example. I was astral projecting, but I did not know it in this one particular circumstance. All I noticed was that the wall and the window seemed a little bit too bright. Now, for some reference, I will sometimes do reality checks with my walls at home. So here's a tip for you for reality checks. You can do all kinds of different ones, not just your thumb through the palm of your hand, which is a great one, but you can be doing many, many reality checks, getting really creative with them throughout the day. And some of mine are just as I'm walking along like I would normally without thinking about anything else. I'll just stop and I'll look at the wall and I'll be like, is there a spot there? Has it always been there if I found one? Is there a spider web there? Look around up in the corner. What do I see? Stuff like that. Just being observant, training the mind to be observant with various things. It doesn't have to be the wall, but I highly suggest incorporating that because so many times I've just noticed, strange windows and walls in what I thought was a dream. And some of them did turn out to be dreams, and other ones astral projections. But just regular, ordinary stuff like that, where you train your mind to be aware. So yes, try the pressing your thumb into the palm of your hand. That's a good one. If it goes through, well, you're not awake. Now, just a wall that seems too bright won't really tell you too much, but it might get you just lucid enough to do another reality check, right? Because you're seeing the wall, it's too bright, like I was. And so I thought, okay, I'm just going to put my thumb into the wall and see if it phases through it a little bit, if at all. I just want to test this wall. Just like an ordinary reality check on an ordinary day. I mean, I don't know, maybe the sun's just hitting the wall kind of bright. I didn't really think so, but it could be. Maybe I was tired. I didn't know. Turns out I really was, right? Because I was asleep. So I pressed my thumb up against the wall and it just kind of gave me a bounce back, if anything, a slight one. So that really got me thinking. And I looked around the whole room and I thought, it seems a little bit too square. It's stuff like this, minor stuff that can really wake you up in the astral just like that. I'm going to make a snap like that. Snap, snap, snap. Wake up, get lucid. So I'm looking around. It's too square. It's too bright in the whole room, which I really had not noticed before. So this is the mind becoming more lucid. So then I thought, do I remember waking up? Yes, this can be a reality check. You can just be, thinking to yourself, do I remember the last time I actually woke up, got out of bed, had breakfast, or whatever your routine is? If it's not breakfast, then fill in that blank with something else. Do you remember that time? Like, did you wake up at 7:30, 7:31 a.m.? Did you have breakfast? Did you have a burrito instead? I've done that, by the way. I don't mind leftovers from the night before, but let's not get too off topic on my odd eating habits, right? So Just ask yourself all these kinds of questions and you will get more lucid. And previous to this, I thought I was just awake walking around a room. So I couldn't remember. And that really, I remember feeling a little bit confused. And I don't usually feel confused either. Not when I'm really awake. Like I know when I had breakfast today. I know where there are spots on my walls. I know if the windows are bright, it's because, afternoon sun is coming in. So with those reality checks not really working too well, but also working, I thought, well, I'm going to go ahead on to the next one, which is for me, float. It has to be done as a whole command. I have to believe I will float. So when I'm doing this when I'm awake, so I sometimes even make a little jump and I'll be like, I'm going to be hanging there in the air. I know I am. And then of course, since I'm awake, I don't, right? But when you're lucid dreaming or you're astral projecting and you do float and you mean it, you have to mean it. You will float. Sometimes it takes a couple of tries depending on the density of the area where you are. If you're astral projecting, if you're lucid dreaming, a lot of times you'll just shoot right up. But that can happen in the astral too. But your mind has to know you mean it. It must be a command. So if you do this as a reality check while you're awake, even though you're going to come back down to the floor, you got to mean it. Make a little hop. Look up. Think what it would feel like to float. You came back down to the floor because you're awake. But in the astral and in a lucid dream, your mind has trained for that, right? It has trained to be there in the air because that's how you trained your mind. So a lot of times that one will work for me. I've used that one over and over again. I don't always like it to be the first one. That's a more serious one for me, and this is just a personal preference. The reason that's more serious is I know when I'm first getting lucid in a dream or an astral projection that my mind needs time to kind of adapt to the whole idea. So before I get serious and get in the air, I kind of want to be ready for it on a subconscious level, I guess, a spiritual level. So I save float for at least the second reality check, oftentimes the third or the fourth one. Okay, so I know other people have told me they are super tired of me talking about reality checks, but then I get bombarded with direct messages, questions about what I do that works. Well, this is it. And it's not always the ordinary reality check, at least. I'm not always going to be saying, put your thumb through your palm. Like I said, find that spot on the wall and really make sure that it was there, it is there. You have to be serious about that reality check so that your mind will be serious about looking for these kinds of things when you're asleep. And once you get your mind in the habit, that's when you're going to be more lucid. Okay, so moving on a little bit, I had another one where I was doing a reality check where I was bouncing up and down on a bed. I don't know why I was. It was kind of a funny one. At first I thought it was a dream, but then I recognized I'd been speaking with an old friend, like we were good friends. I was bouncing up and down on the bed. I had remembered I was trying to do a reality check, so I thought maybe I can get a little bit closer to the ceiling. Let's just see if I can. So I made a bigger bounce, and I did get closer to the ceiling, and then I thought, is that really a good reality check? Maybe not. Because, of course, if you bounce more on a bed, you're going to get a little bit higher. So I did another one, and I actually kind of floated in the air just long enough that I thought, okay, maybe I really am dreaming or astral projecting. Wow. I know I hung there in the air, and that does not happen when I am awake. So then my friend asked me what I was doing. He was a little bit perplexed. And I said, well, I'm doing reality checks. And, when I'm awake, I won't tell people that, no. But in this case, I did. And then he said, I wish you wouldn't do that. And so then I asked him why. And then he said, because you might remember and wake yourself up. And that's when I remembered I had asked this particular person not to contact me on the astral plane. This is somebody that I knew a long time ago. He's actually a really nice person, but he seems to keep trying to contact me on the astral plane, even though we haven't had contact in person for many, many, many years. I think he seems to do it when he's melancholy. I wouldn't call it depression, but he can get like melancholy. Well, he could back when I knew him. He could get these melancholy episodes where he would like dwell on things for super long periods of time. So I actually wouldn't be surprised if he's out there somewhere. I'm not in contact at all with him. I don't know where he is, what he's up to, but I wouldn't be surprised if he still gets these kinds of episodes where, I wonder if I did something different, like that. And in the astral, I've asked him not to do this. I've never asked him in the physical because I never talked to him about any of this when I knew him way back then. So then I told him I did remember that I'd asked him not to do this. And he understood. I woke myself up, which is exactly what he did not want me to do. But I think it's good for him to, deal with his life on his own terms. I don't want to be even subconsciously the one that he's thinking about. So I think it's good for him. It's also good for me because I don't want to be thinking back what could have happened with that friendship, it's so many years ago. We both need to just keep on keeping on. I do wish him well in every way, and he really is a nice guy, but we were not for each other at all. And I know that he knows that in the waking world. His mind just gets going sometimes like that. Oh, and I was going to add, I don't bounce on my bed, at least not anymore. I used to when I was a child, like when I was really young. Sometimes I would bounce up and down trying to fly like I had in a dream or an astral projection the night before. So I thought that was kind of funny that my mind subconsciously still kind of harkens back to my childhood once in a while, where I would bounce and jump up and down even with my little legs. I still remember. But I would never tell anybody that's why I did it. I had been kind of silenced long before that, just for asking about, just colorful dreams, asking too many questions that I shouldn't have had the answers to, right? So just knowing things about people instinctively, which were not facts. I mean, I was a child. I just kind of knew stuff that weirded people out. Like, how did I know to ask that kind of a question and stuff like that? Stuff, I guess, anybody who's super intuitive or clairvoyant or who astral projects would kind of run into. Okay, so moving on. I was definitely in the astral plane in this whole other experience. I don't remember exactly what happened. This was, again, not another super clear experience. But there was a thick brick wall. I felt like it was I don't know, maybe at least a foot deep. And that's all I could see. Everything else was kind of blurry. I knew based on what had happened before that I did not have a clear memory of, that I was supposed to kind of slip through this brick wall and then get together with some people on the other side. I think they were friends. I don't know. I tried putting my hand up against it. The usual wall trick for me, not really trick, more of a tip, is to step through sideways without observing the barrier. And just kind of imagine where you want to be on the other side at the same time. It's easier with a window, but you can still do it with walls. And oftentimes, I know it helps a lot of people to go through with some speed, like running up, going backwards, doing acrobatics. The main thing is not to focus on the barrier itself. In this case, I felt like it was kind of the exception, and maybe I was wrong, but that's how I was feeling. I was like observing this wall, and it was more like also kind of psychic ward maybe, or something like that. It had some energy to it that just a plain wall would not have had. So I thought, okay, I can also treat this kind of like a lock. This is somebody who wants to see me. They have protection up. They have a nice thick brick wall. I know how to get through walls. But if this is something a friend has put up, do I really want to kind of ram it, or just slip in and surprise them? That wouldn't be polite, right? So I thought, I'm going to go slow. It's harder for me to go slow through walls because I might wake myself up. And I realized I could have been wrong. Maybe I did not have a friend on the other side. Maybe this was not a ward or a sigil kind of a thing, but I wasn't sure, so I thought I'm going to be gentle. If somebody needs help, sometimes they're feeling a little fragile, right? So you got a big, thick wall. You can talk about a literal one in the Astral, but I just didn't know, so I was going to be gentle. I think, like I said before, I put my hand up against it. It didn't bounce back, but it just was kind of against the wall. So then I thought, okay, I'm going to imagine moving very slowly. So if there is someone on the other side, they have time to adjust to the idea that I'm coming through, right? So what I did was I did my sideways step like I usually do. I looked down to the left. I put my right hand forward, imagined it already in the wall with just a little bit of kinetic motion, like step. Like a step and a sideways, looking down. And I thought, I'm just going to follow my hand on through. And that's what I did. I saw darkness for quite a while. But again, I was looking down. I kind of peeked a little bit with my 360 vision while I was in there. And I just saw like vibrating material. It was epic. It was like, whoa, am I in the matrix of a brick wall? And I was still moving ever so slowly through it, and it was totally trippy. There were no great fantastic colors or anything, but like the vibration was there. And then the vibration was stronger. My hand was still moving. I was still following my fingers and my hand through this darkness that was like shaking, like the vibrational stage, but not really. Not as harsh as that. But I could like feel the vibration of the materials, and I almost got distracted because I just loved how it felt. I was like, it's like a whole body massage. It's great. So I had to actually refocus my mind partway through while I was still going slow motion. Remember to keep my eyes down, remain focused. And then I did come out into somebody's house. And they welcomed me. They knew I was coming. They didn't say anything about if I was supposed to have been going that slowly or not. They never really talked about the wall. Then we had some private conversations. I couldn't share if I wanted to because I don't remember exactly what we discussed. It was a private area. I remember the house was a little bit dirty. I mean, it wasn't really well kept. There was a lot of stuff in there, like old stuff, old boxes, food. Reminded me of maybe some stuff a hoarder would keep around, old papers and things like that. But then I was thinking, this is my friend, this is their space, I respect the space, love to whoever this is. And whatever they shared with me, I don't know if it was cryptic or if I just don't remember, but I don't remember. I really don't. I do remember towards the end of our conversation shaking hands and that their hand was super warm. This is a super nice person. And they thanked me for not being judgmental about their problem. And I don't think the problem was about the hoarding, but I'm not sure. I think it was about whatever else it was that we talked about. And who knows, maybe I even agreed to forget it. I mean, I'm like that. I'm a nice person. I'll forget something. And it's super easy to in the astral. Just, get distracted with a brick wall and how it vibrates. Stuff like that. So then I woke up after that one. Finally, this morning, I finally got out of my body again. I was in my bedroom, which was not exactly looking the same as my usual bedroom. That's quite normal. I went out my window, which I couldn't really see what was out there this time. I just slipped on through the window in the usual way. I do my step to the side, don't observe the window. Imagine being out there already. And last time, I already talked about the bird festival that I found outside happening. Not this morning. This morning it was all snow, just really big flakes of snow with some wind. I got to fly around. I felt the coolness of the snowflakes. I just had a good time. There was bright sunlight. I was really happy just for a break. I get so busy in the astral sometimes, and then I don't even always remember it. And so if I just get a chance to get out and fly, absorb the sunlight, absorb snowflakes, have fun in the wind, that's a good time for me too. When I woke up, it was not snowing. However, it has turned into a super bright, chilly day where I live. Happy astral travels! Enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks so much. Goodbye for now.